Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session, Generational Goldmine, Bridging Eras to Boost Innovation. And today we will be talking about the differences and the things that the generations have in common. We know that it's just after lunch, so people will still come in, but we will have to start now. And I just wanted to look on my left to present to you the speakers today. So we have here on the first female on my left, that is Princess Hayu. She's a royal princess from Indonesia. So we are very honored to be with her presence here today. On her left, we have Erwin Dans. He is the CEO of Suriname AI, and he will be sharing a lot more about what he and his organization are doing in Suriname. And to his left and my far end, we have Aaron Wingham, the founder of New You, and he also will be sharing a lot about the different strategies his company has developed and is implementing to help people to reach their 2.0 version. So let me just stand up a little bit because it's after lunch, so it's a little bit easier. Um, Before we start with the quick presentations, I just want to ask everyone in the room to look at the different generations because we will be talking a lot about baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y, and it's for myself. I think it's like 10 years ago. I really knew which Gen I was because people are always talking about it, but um, if you're not very familiar with it, it's not that um, normal. So we have the builders, and I'm going to ask. It's of course privacy. You don't have to share how old you are or how young you are. But the builders, those are the persons 80 and up. So they were born in 1925 and 1945. So by the raise of hands, I would like to see if we have any builders in the room. Those who those who helped build everything that we have now. Okay, we don't have any builders. Going to the next one. Do we have any boomers in the room? The boomers are now between the age of 61 and 79. Okay, no boomers. Maybe they will be coming a little bit later. And then we go to Generation X, between 46 and 60 years. Okay, so we have to my right more Gen X, and to my left a little bit less. So we are also trying to have quite some evenly spreading of the generations, especially for these exercises. And then we have Gen Y, born between 1980 and 1994. That's a majority of this room. So those are between the age of 31 and 45. And I actually made a mistake because I also had to raise my hand. I'm also Gen Y. And then we have the Gen Z. And I think with the Gen Z, I started hearing a lot of buzz like Gen Z, Gen Z. So we have quite some Gen Zs with us today. And it's good to know that these are the main generations when we're talking about the workforce, but it doesn't end there. We also have Gen Alpha. I saw some very young persons walking in the hall, but I don't see any Gen Alpha here. They are the ones now 15 and under. And this year is a very unique year because this year is also the introduction of Gen Beta. So I guess next year maybe or in 2 years I can add one Gen Beta to the world. Hopefully. Okay, so this is just a little bit background. Quickly, I wanted to ask someone on the left of me and someone here if you can share what your Gen is, or your Gen Z, Gen X, and what is your superpower, like your generation superpower, very quickly. Someone? Okay. Oh, you're getting a microphone. Yes. To the lady at the end. Yes.
I said probably the internet, social media, just anything online.
Yes, and you're Jen?
Z.
Gen Z. Thank you for sharing. To my right, someone that is not Gen Z and would like to share. Well, we can ask you both to share. Can we give this gentleman in light blue?
Gen Y, and I believe our superpower is we can remember before social media and cell phones, and then we also every day use them. So that's our superpower. We can still handshake.
Thank you for sharing. And then we're going to listen. Yeah.
Gen X, adaptability.
Adaptability. Nice. Thank you. We'll have the speakers dive more into what they experience with the different generations. So I will hand the floor now to Princess Hayu, who will be doing her part. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Honored to be here. Thank you for your time coming here. So my name is Hayu. I'm from Gen Indonesia, but at this chance, I will also talk about the Sultanate of Yogyakarta in Indonesia. So this kingdom is established in 1755, before there was Indonesia. We survived the Dutch, we survived the Brits, and we survived the Japanese. By the time the Dutch left, Yogyakarta was the only sovereign territory, and that in the islands that will become Republic of Indonesia. My grandfather decided to join in a Republic of Indonesia under the condition that the reigning sultan becomes the governor of provincial Yogyakarta. As a governor, he is bound by the same rules as other governors in Indonesia. It's just that we don't go through election for governors. After several hundred years, allow me to give you a little introduction. This is Sultanate of Yogyakarta now. Tondo Yakti sendiri sebenarnya awalnya itu lebih concern pada official presence, jadi sosial media, website, segala macam. Tapi dalam perjalanannya, kami menyadari bahwa dokumentasi tentang keraton itu belum punya yang resmi. Jadi zaman dulu, yang melukis tentang keraton dan kehidupannya itu orang asing. Ketika mulai ada kamera, yang punya kamera ya para pangeran yang mampu beli kamera pada saat itu. Tapi karena itu milik pribadi, akhirnya foto-foto itu dibawa kembali ke kediaman masing-masing, dan ketika mereka meninggal dunia itu ke keturunannya, kadang nggak tahu harus diapain, akhirnya foto-foto itu semua menyebar keluar. Keraton sendiri tidak punya dokumentasinya. Sehingga pada saat itu job desk-nya Tondo Yakti nambah satu lagi sebagai official dokumentasi dari keraton. Ke depan ini tidak ada lagi arsip yang tercecer. Jadi fokusnya Tondo Yakti adalah masa sekarang dan masa depan. Okay, thank you. After several hundred years, in 2012, my division was formed, which is the IT office. Being colonized, we lost a lot of our history. And in 2018, His Majesty asked three of us to make sure that the younger generation will be more involved in the preservation of our culture. So that's me, my younger sister, and my husband. His Majesty asks us to hold on to one principle, that modernization does not mean westernization. So that means we have to repackage culture and tradition, but looking in the ways that how do we adapt it so that our culture and tradition does not get lost with all the technology. So my younger sister started by revamping all of our exhibition and making sure that we decolonize the narration and the exhibition. My husband, he's in charge for all the performing arts in the palace and the palace soldiers. Maybe you saw the guy with all the military things. He started by going over old manuscripts to see what have we lost in the modern era that was there before there was Indonesia, and that lost after we got invaded in the war. All of their work converged with mine, which is the making sure that things do not get lost again. All of those research, I have to make sure that they are digitized properly. Allow me to share one thing. In 2018, we were invited to Yale University Art Gallery as they have just received one of the biggest shadow puppet collection. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it's something like this. I don't know if you're familiar with what we call the wayang. They have hundreds and hundreds of shadow puppets. A lot of them came from Yogyakarta, where I'm from. So we were invited there. We were shown how they will digitize, they will preserve it and catalog it. But when we were there and when we saw the results of their catalogs, we felt like something was missing, that the essence of the wayang, the shadow puppets, was not fully captured during the digitization process. If you can see on this one, I don't know if there's a laser in it. Yeah, this one? Ah, so this gentleman is the puppeteer. As you can see, the way, this is how it poses the wayang. So it doesn't just go like this. It doesn't show the character. So a wayang, a character of a shadow puppet, is actually encapsulated by all the design, the way it stands, the way it moves, and the makeup. So when the cataloging process was just measuring the length and the width, it's just not the same. So when we go home, we try to see what can we do better. As the owner of the culture and the tradition of shadow puppet, this is how we do it in the palace. It's not as bright and properly done like this, but my team, the photographers, make sure we work with the shadow puppeteer, because they are the ones that have the wisdom to know that how it's supposed to be portrayed. And this is our first project in bridging the generation gap, because the shadow puppeteers are usually older, because being a court shadow puppeteer takes a lot of experience, like 20 years of experience. And they don't have the skills to do the digitization. My team does. So this is usually we work with a gap of boomers and Gen Y and Gen Z. So the dynamic itself, it's been very interesting because they don't work quite well at first because they have their own prides, but we force them. They have to do it, whether they like it or not. But in the process, it becomes something beautiful. So this is actually what I'm hoping that we can discuss today. Now that not everything must be high-tech. Innovation doesn't always mean the latest technology. That technology is just a tool. There will always be resistance to change, and the necessity of the sponsor support is non-negotiable. So I think I'm not gonna go talk too much. I hope.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
that's from me.
Thank you, Hayu. Thank you for that. Just recapping that, Hayu shared more of the cultural side and how to preserve your tradition while also digitalizing, which is very important. Just a quick intermission before going to the next speaker. By the show of hands, reading the statement that's presented here, I would like to know who thinks this is true or false, and then I will ask one person if they can elaborate on that. So the statement is that Gen Z avoids face-to-face communication and prefers only digital interaction. So who feels like this is true or has the experience that it's true? He's like, okay. And who says this is false, fully false? Okay, so we have some persons who are saying it's true, false. The others are still thinking which way. Maybe we can ask who says it's false there. Okay, maybe we can get her a mic quickly before going to Erwin to elaborate on why she thinks or feels that Gen Z doesn't avoid face to face.
I say this is false because one, the biggest thing is that we don't get to interact with people on a day-to-day basis. And once we put people, Gen Z specifically, younger students, in a space where they have the opportunity to interact with each other, they actually prefer it. But because we are so in tune with giving them tablets and devices growing up, that's all they know. So until you teach them different, they don't know anything different. And and I know this because I do it on a regular basis.
Thank you for sharing those insights. And we'll now continue with Erwin, who will be sharing his remarks.
Hello, hello. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Erwin Dans. I'm the founder from Suriname AI. Suriname AI is a outsourcing company that's where I have professionals working from my country in different regions of the world, the United States, Netherlands, and Belgium. Before I will talk about my part, I want to tell you guys where Suriname is. Suriname is in South America, above Brazil, between British Guyana and French Guyana. And at first, we were a colony of England. Then there was a trade done. New York was from the Dutch. And then England said, hey, give me New York and I give you Suriname. And then the trade came. So after that, we went a colony of the Netherlands. And that's why we speak Netherlands Dutch. So quick review, we have 93% of forest. And in the past, because we were a colony with a lot of resources, natural resources, it was developed by those big countries. We had slaves that were most of the descendants from Africa. And after slavery, we had some immigrants from Java, Indonesia, India, China. So we have a diversity of people and cultures. Okay, so the next thing I want to tell you guys is each generation brings brings a superpower. Moreno just explains about he asked the group what's your superpowers, and we heard the answers. Well, I've used AI to ask what are the superpowers of the generations because I also use AI, and these were the answers. The boomers, they are the wisdom keepers. They have traditions. They were grow up in that time. Gen X, that's the bridge. The guy over there told us we can adapt fast. And then we have Gen Y, the Millennials. There is where digitalization came in, and then Gen Z, where also the tech developed more, and also now they're using AI as their main, let's say, Bible. But to give you guys a quick review of how I am doing it within my company, I have also different type of persons there, generations, and we listen to them. We listen to their needs because we know that everybody has a different type of perspective. So as you see here, two pictures, you see some young people. I think this is Gen Alpha, and they are wearing the traditional clothes of the indigenous people. But they didn't know it. So it's like the elder people need to teach them about what it's the color and why you need to wear the feathers and those kind of things. But then on the other picture, you see an old guy using a smartphone, and we assume that he was taught to use that. So it's within my company, the older generations, they're like teaching the younger generations a little bit about the experience, but on the other side, also the younger generations helping the older generations to work with tech, work with WhatsApp, work with Facebook, and now, as of a few months ago, working with AI. So that's a little bit of how we are doing it. And we need to make it happen because within a company, you want that your human resource needs to be like capable of giving you the best productivity. So that's why we are creating spaces to do that. These are some spaces that you can create. But also one of the best things is to have team building sessions. For example, the elderly people from my company are really good cooks. So they are cooking all the delicious dishes for the younger generations, and that is where the communication is starting. Like, hey, this is something from the Japanese. How do you make it? Where does it come from? And that is where the exchange of information comes from. And on the other side, the younger generations are talking about. But I think we can put it in AI also and make it better, and that's where the discussions comes. So that's a little bit my part of this presentation. I want to thank Moreno for this opportunity and also Jen. And now I will give the floor to the next speaker.
Yes, thank you, Erwin. And I do agree with a lot that Erwin said, but there is one thing that was a little bit challenging for me because he mentioned that the younger generation is teaching the baby boomers or the builders how to use tech. But I can tell you that my grandmother showed me quite some new functionalities on WhatsApp because she has time, she knows how to work with WhatsApp, and she showed me how to use it more efficient. So it also sometimes is the other way around, but that's, I guess, she's a little bit of an outlier. We have a quick question for the room, and which is our statement: baby boomers are working past retirement age. Do you think this is a true statement, or do you feel like you don't know any baby boomer that is working past retirement age? So we have a hand in the back and here. So can we get them a mic to share if they think this is true or false?
For me, it is absolutely true because I am a baby boomer. I'm 60 now and I still have to work hard. So, yeah, truly true.
Thank you for sharing. And then we have this wonderful lady in red who also will share if it's true or false.
I think it's true because more and more baby boomer have like more health. The health is getting better and better. So most of them, they work until 75 or some working in 80. Because I'm local here, I saw a lot of baby boomers still working in the farm, and then they are still good.
Yes, thank you. So this statement was not just put here. There was a research done last year which showcased global research that 33% of baby boomers have to work past retirement age, and they don't want to, but it's not only for the financing, but also because institutions are not ready to let them go because they have the wisdom, they have the traditional knowledge. So there's an additional time needed for them to transfer that knowledge to the next generations. So that is one of the things that I really wanted to share with you all. Going to Aaron, who will be sharing more about his work with New You.
Good afternoon, everyone. Moreno, thanks for this opportunity. It's great to be with GEC and at this wonderful conference. So I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm now in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I run a company called New You. New You is a way for an individual to imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of yourself. So basically, my team and I are privileged to travel the world activating humans, all right? And so we have expanded into Peru, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Colombia, Puerto Rico, and Suriname, and Ecuador over the last 2.5 years. And in doing this work, I found some things to be very, very true. So I'm gonna stand up for a minute too. This sit down thing ain't working for me. Is that all right, y'all? So my question to you is this: who remembers the day when there was one phone in the house? Raise your hand, wink, whistle, give me something. Okay, good. Who remembers when there was one TV in the house and you had to wait your turn to get to your channel? Okay, all right, good. Who remembers when there was only 4 channels to watch? Okay, we got those people. Who remembers when the TV turned off after 11 o'clock? Remember that when it just went static? Okay, okay, 11. Okay, so we got some folks in here who remembers those times. Who remembers in 1999 when Y2K was upon us and we thought the world was going to shut down? Okay, only half the room remembers that? Okay, I got some people here who's lying. Y'all got to remember that, okay? Very sober moment. Who remembers 9/11? Do you remember where you were on 9/11 and what you were doing? I still remember that to this day. Do you realize that you might be working with someone right now who does not even remember it? For instance, this young man right here. How old are you? Do you mind me asking? 18. Do you remember 9/11? I didn't think so. If you had said yes, we'd had a problem. Okay? And so what does that mean? What does that mean? There's a lot of social context that may be lost from one generation to another. Okay? And so this young man would need to be informed on what the significance was like. I'll give you an example. Who remembers before TSA when you can walk with your family member all the way to the gate at the airport? Okay, and baggage fees weren't $2 million per ounce, right? Or you weren't charged for every little thing on the plane. It was about getting you to somewhere. It wasn't about what they can get from you. Okay, what I'm explaining to you is the social context that may not be have translated from one generation to another. And so what I want you to do is, as we go through this, I want you to look at these things from that lens, okay? There are some shared experiences that most of the people in this room have had before, during our generations, that were very shared. But after the 1990s, those experiences were no longer the same. In other words, our lived reality at 15 years old is much different than his lived reality at 15 years old. Does that make sense? All right, so let's look at this. Millennials. I was born in 81, okay? Don't worry about it. But I was born in 81, all right? So we are typically, and these are generalities, you all, so don't look at this as gospel. These are generalities, all right? We are typically purpose-driven people. We were activists. We want to fight for something. We want to stand for something. We want the work that we do to mean something. Okay, and when millennials are doing a task and they don't see the outcome of it, they are demotivated. They're demotivated. Okay, and so sometimes as the leader, let me say this: who in here is a leader in your company? Okay, all right. So let me say this. I'm gonna make a very bold statement here. If you are the leader and you are not leading, you are misleading. If you are the leader and people can't come to you for guidance, to be cultivated, to be poured into, to be uplifted, to be inspired, if you are not leading and you are the leader, you are misleading. And so how do you take a step back, understand where they are, that the work that these people, the way that they view the world is through the lens of purpose. I need this to be more meaningful to me than stapling papers and stamping, passes, right? How do I become a part of a bigger vision, okay? During our time frame, you started to hear words like this: professional development, okay? In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, wasn't nobody talking about professional development, all right? But you get into the 80s and 90s, and people start to talk about what does it mean to develop the people under you? How do we create, get this, career trajectory, right? You hear these terms now. People are thinking about that because they're trying to understand, how do I fit into something that's bigger than me? How do I make what I do day to day be purposeful? All right? So the purpose-driven, they want continuous feedback. Tell me I did good. If I did bad, don't wait till my review to tell me that. Okay? If I did bad 9 months ago, let me know that when I did it. Not 9 months later, I don't remember what I did. And probably you don't remember what I did. All right? And so anybody ever been bombarded in an annual review with some stuff that you like, where'd you even get this from? Right? Continuous feedback. Let me know that if I'm doing great or if I'm not. If I'm not, let me know that now. If I am, let me know that now. Give me my flowers. Tomorrow's not promised. Right? Okay. And then career development. So I want to be able to evolve where I am, all right? I taught my team here, and I got a couple of my team members are here. Jenny, wave your hand real quick. And Anna Lee right here with my hand. These are my Peruvian Latinas right here. And so, but I told my team when we started 3 years ago, I said this: if you're with me in the same role in 3 years, we didn't do this right. I failed you. Because people should be evolving under your leadership. I have a saying I always say. Here's the thing. You manage processes and lead people. You manage processes and lead people. Why? Because a process does not need cultivated. It does not need uplifted. It does not need water. It does not need encouraged. It does not, no, a person needs that. So you manage the process. You don't manage people. You lead them. And so as you're leading people, they should be growing out of where they are into the next thing, okay? You want people to, if people are staying in the same position 15 years, you're failing them. You're failing them, okay? So so this is how the lens of the millennials, all right? The demotive, limited growth, like I said, the opposite, limited opportunities, okay? And then also, rigid hierarchies. In other words, I'm hitting a glass ceiling. Anybody faced a glass ceiling in your career? It's very demotivating to see it and can't get there. Notice it's the glass ceiling. It's not just a ceiling. It's a glass ceiling. That means I can see the next thing, but I can't actually get there. Okay? And then Gen Z is, they're technological. Okay? They want to be able to have something that they actually can build. Now, let me say something about this. When I was launched the company, I'm a millennial, and then we have a Gen Z, and we had a Gen Z on the team. And so it's funny because myself and another person, we were both millennials, so we had a very different view on things. Whereas the Gen Z, she was pushing back on things, and she wanted to know why, and she's asking all these questions. And you remember the questions I just asked you when I first started about who remembers the one court phone in the house? I had to take a step back and realize this. She grew up with options. This generation, Gen Z, grew up with options. What are you talking about, Aaron? What I'm saying to you is this. You look in the back seat of a Gen Z car, and all three kids have different tablets. They're all watching whatever show they want on each tablet. Okay, when I was a kid, we didn't have a TV. You sat, in the car, right? You sat there and you played tic-tac-toe on a notepad. Y'all didn't play tic-tac-toe? Or hangman, remember hangman? You had to come up with something. But now ideas are curated for them. And so sometimes it's demotivating not to be able to see the clear path to what you need from me. And so what I had to do was be able to show her where her contribution can take the company. And then, guess what? Train and trust. I'm gonna say those two words again. I know I felt somebody's blood pressure go up. Train and trust. Trained her on what we needed and trusted her to execute. Guess what, you all? In 2 years, she's off now with her own company, and we're her client. That's the way it should work. That's how you build healthy ecosystems. That's how you create generational synergy, okay? So integration, also diverse. They want diversity and inclusion. I know those are allergic words in 2025. I'm gonna say them anyway. All right. They want to meet different people. You got to remember, they've been exposed to the world since birth. They didn't grow up just knowing the 20 people on their block the way you did, the way I did. They grew up with friends in Hong Kong, in Beijing, in Nairobi, okay, all on the internet. So they don't want to just know the 10 people that they know. They want to be able to have different expression and explore different things, okay? Just ping me when I'm okay? All right. And they also don't want outdated technology or a lack of authenticity. One thing about this generation, they want you to be who you are, okay? And they want the grace and space to be who they are, okay? I'm almost done. Here's some things. So when you're working across generational lines, here's what I'll give you. So here's some tidbits. To develop shared language. If you're on a team, be able to create a safe space for you all to have shared language with each other. Give a little bit of their spice. Give me a little bit of your wisdom, brother, and mix in a little bit of their spice. And what you'll find is what comes out of that. When they talk about blue zones, where people who are 100 years, or when they go to blue zones, guess what they do? They mix it in with young people. Those blue zones, they thrive because young people bring a different energy in, right? So, share vocabulary. Also, leverage the technology. One of these first two, they just mentioned that. Being able to say, okay, you understand this better than I do, so I need you to teach me. And then I understand this better than you do, so I need to teach you this. And what you'll find is when there's this symbiotic relationship, what you'll see is a different type of trust, okay? We didn't like to hear when we were young, you don't know anything. We didn't like to hear that. And guess what we do to young people? You don't know anything. And it's not true. Actually, if you give them something to do, you'll be blown away. Now, here's another thing I found out in dealing with over 3,000 people around the world in the last 2.5 years. Here's what I found out to be true. This younger generation, Gen Zs, they are super intelligent and super effective in what they do well. You have to know, as a leader, what do they do well, and give them license to do that well, okay? They're not going to know all things. They're not jack of all trades. They're not going to know all of it, okay? But what they know it, and they know it really well. And they know it in ways that you'll never know it, okay? So give them the license to be able to lean into that. And last thing is encourage storytelling. Understand what their weekends look like, what their love life looks like. Be able to understand so that you have, get this, it's a key word, empathy for one another, all right? And what you'll find is this human-centric approach will help elevate your company or even your house. I believe I'm done. Oh, yes. There's these different aspects. Yeah, there's different aspects. So this is just communication styles. You feel free to take a picture of this.
Yeah.
This is a way for people to communicate with one another, all right? Thanks so much.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron, for sharing. We definitely also want to give the audience the opportunity to ask one or two questions. So while by the raise of hands, you can ask your questions general to all of the speakers or maybe directed to one of them. In the meantime, I have a question for Erwin because he is working with a lot of these younger generation students. So we had shown this picture about Gen Beta. So this is the generation now between 1 and 15 years. What do you expect their core characteristics will be when entering the workforce?
Okay, thank you, Moreno, for this question. So I was listening to Aaron, and I also raised my hands a few times. But one of the things that I was thinking about is my son now, he's 10 years old, and he's talking about, Daddy, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to do TikTok. I want to make a game, and he's telling me how he built a castle in Roblox or Minecraft and those kind of things. And I'm like, I'm looking at the games, and I played video games, but I played like FIFA, Need for Speed, all these things. So I'm looking at those games and I'm like, I can't even understand that, you know. So I think with all this technology, I think these kids will be living in like a metaverse. We're living in a metaverse with all these how you call it, avatars and those kind of things. So I think we need to be like a little bit prepared for that. So I cannot give you a correct answer, but based on what my son is telling me, I know the direction he's going.
Yes, thank you, Erwin, for your answer. Also, a question for Hayu. Um, so you're working in the palace with different generations. So what's the biggest challenge that you have encountered working with those?
Okay, so as a background, we have about 3,000 people who work in the palace. About 70 of them are seniors. And then the one in the 40-something range is very few, and then we have a bunch of 20-year-olds. So at the beginning of that project, the younger one is the photographers, and the shadow puppeteers actually posing the wayang for the digitization. When we just began, apparently, there was a lot of arguments and misunderstanding. I thought, was it something that's technology related? It was just a simple of the usage of WhatsApp, the way they talk to each other. So for the seniors, when you want to talk to them, you call them, right? The use of the WhatsApp is just, hi, can I call you? Are you free? Can I call you at this time? But for the 20 years old, that's disruptive. Immediately calling someone is not respecting your time. So, that's a very basic misunderstanding. Because I respect your time, that's why I put everything into WhatsApp, and you can just reply whenever you have time. But the seniors say that's impolite. You should have just called me and talked to at least, or talk face to face. So the difference in mindset was very challenging right at the start. But then I took a look, and there were a lot of apprehension as well as what's this knowledge going to be used for? Why do I have to do this? The way that I did it is that I have to make sure the seniors immediately see what's the benefit for them, because otherwise things are not moving. So if you see, I'm sorry, this is just a little long. So we started in 2015. Back then, there were not a lot of information on royal families around the world. There was none in Indonesia, in Thailand, there was none, Japan, none. The only thing that I could see was the British royal family and the Dutch. But their social media is just highlighting the Queen was attending this event, the royal family is attending this and that event. It's very different for us. They don't have traditional dances, they don't have court dances, they don't have those. So my approach was that our social media is highlighting the people inside the palace, the culture that we have. You don't see much about the royal family themselves. So this is the approach that I use. I make sure all of these seniors and their expertise and their wisdom get shown in the social media, and they see it, they get recognition, and then they were very helpful after that.
Thank you, Hayu. And looking at the time, we have to wrap up. But this is really what we mean with fire presentation. So the speakers really brought fire. So we will give you the time to digest that. And should you have any questions for them, we can go outside because there's another session. I've been told to tell you that specifically. But thank you for attending. And I want to ask a round of applause for our speakers who brought this information from their different perspectives, from culture to AI to the human aspect of it. And I believe that really brought a quite strong synergy to showcase how to work with different generations. Thank you, everyone.